friends, and welcome once again to another week of STEM 10 Plus Science in your home. Today, I am accompanied by three wonderful students here, three guests. What's your name, please, sir?
Aiden Alfaro.
Aiden. What's your name, sir?
Samuel Vasquez.
Samuel. You don't know what your name is? Okay, we'll call this guy Nemo. So today we're going to be bugging out. We're talking about insects. We're here joined with all these little friends of ours, these little critters that have been hanging around during
My name is actually Daniel.
Daniel. Okay, now you came out of your shell now, huh? So we're going to be talking about insects. Guys, what are insects? How come insects are so cool? What are the three main parts? You said that insects have
Head,
6
thorax,
legs.
and abdomen.
But insects have what?
Head, thorax, and abdomen.
Do all insects have those?
Yes.
All right.
No. Wait, actually, yeah. No.
What other cool...
And all their 6 legs are connected to the thorax.
To the thorax. Okay.
And
All right.
85% of the animal kingdom is made out of insects.
All right. And so insects are the largest group in the animal kingdom. Is that correct, Daniel?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So what about insects? Do they have a backbone?
No.
So what
they
is
have
that?
an exoskeleton.
An
They
exoskeleton.
don't have any bones.
And because they don't have a backbone or any bone, what do they call them?
Invertebrate.
Invertebrates. That's right. So what's the difference? You mentioned something about spiders, right?
Yes.
What's the difference between insects and spiders?
I know that spiders have 8 legs and insects have 6 legs.
Okay. All right. So if we're talking about spiders like this guy right here, we have a big spider and a bunch of little baby spiders with it. So you're telling me that spiders like this one,
Those are all baby spiders?
these are all baby spiders. You telling me that spiders like these are not insects?
No.
Oh man, so what do they call them?
Arachnids.
Arachnids. Maybe let's take a look at another arachnid, right? What about this one that we caught just hanging around the house?
Arachnid.
Arachnid. Oh, what are they related to, these arachnids?
Scorpions.
That's right. So mites, right? I think mites was the
Arachnids.
other one. So scorpions and spiders are all part of the arachnid
And
family.
scorpions are considered because their arms do count as
Daniel, you want to open that up for us so we can take a look? So we're going to look at a lot of different insects. Insects do not, they cannot regulate their temperature, so that's why we see them a lot. We see them a lot around the house when it starts to get warm, right? And so we've collected all these different insects that we want to share with you today. Daniel, what do you have there?
Right here. This is a.
Be careful with it because it's nice and brittle, right?
I'm in a grasshopper.
A grasshopper, okay. And it has big legs for what? What does it have these big legs for?
To jump good. A grasshopper. I mean
Wow.
a cricket before.
So this is a grasshopper leg, right? All right, you want to show me a different one? Is there a different one you want to show me?
Dragonfly.
A dragonfly, yeah, that one's pretty. Let's see, let's put it down. We have this one in a bag here because we don't want to mess it up. It has very beautiful wings there.
It's fragile.
And it has some very peculiar eyes, right? If we look closely at the eyes, what's so interesting about the eyes? What do they call these eyes, guys?
Compound eyes.
Compound eyes. Compound eyes. And so what's so interesting about compound eyes? Tell me a little bit more about that.
It's like there's different types of tiny eyes in one
It's like
big eye.
extra eyes.
So
it's to sense other things around them.
So it's a bunch of little eyes put together to make one big eye, correct? So if we look at a bee, and we're sorry, we wish we could have these be alive so you can look at them closely, but if they were alive, then we'd have a hard time, right? But there's a bee.
If they were
One of the insects that we definitely depend on largely for pollination, for being able to see a lot of plants and enjoy a lot of plants and to benefit from the oxygen that these plants produce, the food that it produces for the different animals and different organisms that use them. So the other types of insects that we have here, you might have seen a lot of these in your house. What are these called, guys? The ones with the little pinchers.
pincher bugs.
Pincher bugs, right? And so you might have seen a lot of these around your houses here in San Diego. The other names for these insects are called earwigs. And I think, if I believe correctly, they got that name because in the old days where people used to wear the big wigs and not wash them so much, a lot of these little dermapterans or earwigs used to crawl into people's ears. So that was pretty interesting. So let's see what else we got, guys. Give me another.
This one.
Which one is that? What do you got there, Aiden?
I'm not sure.
Let's see.
This one's hard to tell
Let's
because
see.
it's foggy in there.
Oh, this is a beetle. So beetles are pretty interesting because you'll see so many different types of beetles out there in the world. And beetles are actually the most diverse of all the different insects that are out there. And so this is one that we found here in the backyard. Another example of a beetle is a ladybug.
We actually let out some ladybugs in our garden.
Okay.
A lot.
And why did we do that?
So it can eat all the aphids that are eating our plants, our fruit plants.
That's right. So sometimes we use, it's called bioremediation, right? So instead of putting pesticides and stuff on some of the plants, we can get little insects that eat other insects. So what's the one that I'm holding here? It definitely looks like it has a lot more than 6 legs. Would this be considered an insect?
No.
No,
it's
right?
actually called a pill bug, but I don't know the other
A
word.
pill bug and
Roly-poly.
a roly-poly. So they actually call this, and this is an isopod that we were looking
So
at.
is that basically also...
So some of the other ones, that the insects that we see around the house, what other types of insects do we see around the house, guys?
Spiders.
But are those insects?
No.
What are they?
Cockroaches. Cockroaches.
Cockroaches, right? Whether we like them or not, they're outside. There was another one that was sticking in here. This guy likes to eat wood. It's actually one of the very few animals that can actually eat wood and break it down.
What is it?
What is that called? The ones that eat wood. Insects that eat wood. Termites, right? And so termites look actually pretty nasty looking things.
I don't know if
But we have some there.
caught it, but we also had a silverfish.
Yeah, the silverfish. I thought we had it somewhere, but I can't seem to see it anywhere. And then
No, I
one of the
gave him
last
another
things
one.
that we have here, and we're waiting for this guy to hatch. And so this is a praying mantid sac. So this is supposed to have about
200.
200, right, Sammy? About 200 different offspring or different praying mantises that'll come out at some point.
And we have
So we're waiting for these to hatch,
and we
right,
have
Daniel?
another egg sack of them, so we're gonna have like about 400 praying mantises.
So do you think that all of them are actually going to survive, though?
No.
Why not?
Some animals eat them.
Ah, so of the 200, maybe a good portion of them will be eaten by other animals, right?
Or they just might not process good.
Might not. Okay, so or they might not be born all the way, right? The way they're supposed to. Fantastic, great observations. So that brings us to the very last point I think I wanted to make about insects. So one, insects are a very large group. They're able to reproduce pretty quickly. Two, they're also all over the world, right? Did we say that earlier?
Yes.
All over the world. They like to
Except
come out.
Antarctica.
Oh, well, there's some in Antarctica too. But and they like to come out. Yeah, they like to come out in the warmer weather, right? Because they can't regulate their body temperature. Do they have bones or no bones?
No.
All right. What do they have?
Exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton. And give me again the names
That's
of the
why
three
they so
parts.
crunchy when you
thorax,
step
and
on them.
abdomen.
What is it?
Head, thorax, and abdomen.
Head, thorax, and abdomen. Fantastic. How many legs do they have?
6.
Do they have antennas?
Yes.
Fantastic. What do they
And
use their
actually,
antennas
they don't
for?
have
For their cell
lungs.
phones?
Huh?
What do they use their antennas for? For their cell phones?
No, to breathe.
To
smell.
breathe.
No, to smell the surroundings.
Ah, yeah, to feel out their surroundings, right? To be able to get around. Good job.
And to find the food.
To find food, absolutely. They
They
can
have
do it for
tubes
different
on-
things.
in
Aiden,
their
did you have one comment? One last comment?
They don't have lungs. They have air sacs.
Air sacs. Good job. Yes. So, knowing this, that you're able to see these insects, what we want to try to do is change the conversation and the narrative. When you think about insects, sometimes we get grossed out, and rightfully so, right? Because they're creepy, crawly things. Some of them fly and have wings. They do a lot of very different things, including feeding a lot of other insects and animals, right? Pollinating is another very important one that we depend on bees and moths to be able to do so. Some birds and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of different things that these creatures get to do for our environment. So we want to have a newfound appreciation for insects, the environments that we live in, and don't be so scared to when you see insects, right? And be able to denote that things like isopods or spiders are not insects, and definitely just know how to appreciate the nature around you. Okay. So there you have it. They fly around, they creep around the floor, they hang out on leaves. We see insects everywhere. Inside your house, outside your house, all over the world. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit more about insects and getting familiarized with them. Today we learned that they're invertebrates, meaning that they don't have a backbone, that they have an exoskeleton that helps them maintain their shape and the integrity of their shape. And we learned that not all of them are the same. Even though insects are the largest of the animal group, some have wings and some don't. We also learned that all insects have a head, an abdomen, and a thorax, and that they have 6 legs, not 8, like their friends the spiders. We also learned that because insects are not able to regulate their temperature, that's why they like warm places. So it's not surprising that around the summertime, you'll find a lot more of them around. So we hope you enjoyed today's video and seeing ladybugs and ants and bees and learning a little bit more about them, so we're not so afraid or creeped out by them. Thank you for watching, and I hope you can join us next time.